this is the rolling coverage of the ultimate Phase 7 polls that are taking place today. They are going to continue up until 5 p.m. as voting continues. Now, let's take a look at the figures. 11 a.m., we have the latest number of people who have come out to cast their vote in various states. Pia, give us the numbers, please.
Indeed, let's take a look first up. Patna Sahib in Bihar, 19.33% of the electorate has come out to cast its vote. In Patliputra, the trend is much better at 27.68% till 11 o'clock this morning. In Karakat, number stands at 27.92%. Meanwhile, in Dumka in Jharkhand, 29.24% of the people have inked their finger. In Goda, the statistic stands at 29.39%. Shifting focus to Odisha, where in Kendrapara, 24.03% of the electorate has come out to cast its mandate. 27.66% of the people have cast their vote in Balasore in Odisha. In Chandigarh, the voter turnout stands at 25.03%. These are trends till 11 o'clock this morning. Varanasi, of course, keeping all eyes on the seat. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is contesting from. 26.13% of the electorate has cast its mandate till 11 o'clock. In Deoria, in Uttar Pradesh, 28.10% of the people having their finger. In Kushinagar, 28.06% is the statistic. In Gorakhpur, 26.64% of the people have come out to cast their votes. In Ghosi, the number stands at 27.67% till 11 o'clock. In Mirzapur, 29.54% of the people have come out to cast their mandate. In Basirhat in West Bengal, 32.57% of the people have come out to cast their vote. In Damdam, 24.83% of the people have come out and inked their finger. In Diamond Harbour, the number jumps up to 31.51%. This is where Abhishek Banerjee is contesting from. In Mandi, which is witnessing a fierce battle, 33.02% of the people have come out, inked their finger. In Hamirpur, where Anurag Thakur is looking at defending his bastion, 31.25% of the people have come out to cast their vote. In Punjab's Gurdaspur, 24.72% of the people have cast their mandate this morning. In Amritsar, 20.17% of the people have come out to ink their finger. Number, of course, in Jalandhar is at 24.59%. These are statistics till 11 a.m. In Ludhiana, 22.19% is the voter turnout recorded this morning. Back to you, Megha.
All right, let's get in Asif Iqbal. He's in Bihar in Karakat constituency. How are the people who have been coming out in numbers looking like? Have there been a large number of people who have come out and voted up until this morning?
चीज़ें यहाँ आपने देखी थी जो लगातार लोगों की फहरिस्त लगी हुई थी, वो मौसम के साथ साथ थोड़ी उसका असर दिख रहा है, क्योंकि लगातार अब समझिए कि अब इस वक्त गर्मी जो है वो अपने चरम पे है, और लेकिन लोगों का आने का सिलसिला अभी भी शुरू है। आप देखिए यहाँ पे भी लंबी कतारें लगी हैं, और मैं आपको उस बूथ पर भी दिखाऊं। मैं कैमरामैन अवधेश को कहूँगा कि वो भी दिखाएं, और मैं कुछ लोगों से बात भी करूँगा। देखिए साफ तौर पर है कि यहाँ पर लोगों की कतारें लगी हुई हैं। कितने देर से खड़े हैं आप?
करीब करीब आधा घंटा से।
आधा घंटा से। आप कितने देर से खड़े वैसे?
भी आधा घंटा से।
आधा घंटा हो गया आप लोगों को? जरा सा थोड़ा सा जगह दे दीजिए। देखिए लगातार यहाँ पे लोग खड़े हैं, और कुछ औरतें भी हैं। जरा इनसे भी पूछ लेते हैं हम कि आप लोग कितने देर से हैं यहाँ पे? कितना टाइम?
थोड़ा सा 5 मिनट।
आपको?
हाँ, अभी आए।
अच्छा, क्या सोच के वोट करने आई हैं? क्या सोच के वोट?
कि मेरा देश अच्छा रहे, हमारा घर पर जिताएं अच्छा,
हमारा देश सुरक्षित रहे, और सब जो चीज़ के कमी है वो सब पूरा हो जाए बाबू। यही हम लोग आए हैं वोट देने के लिए, कि हम लोग का समस्या हल हो जाए।
समस्या हल हो। आप क्या सोच के आई हैं? क्या सोच के आई हैं बताइए।
वही सोचे हैं कि अच्छा रहे सब कोई आदमी।
बोलिए जो कमी है हम लोग के पूरा हो।
कोई ना कहते कि
क्या दिक्कत, क्या परेशानी, क्या सोच के वोट करने आई? 5 साल में एक बार मौका मिलता है ये महापर्व।
दिक्कत है, लाइन पानी तो अभी दे ही रहा है, लाइन उनके थोड़ा दिक्कत है।
आइए कुछ और लोगों से बात कर लेते हैं जो लोग लाइन में खड़े हैं लगातार कुछ देर तक। भाई साहब, क्या सोच के वोट करने आते हैं? क्या है आपके?
बस देश की विकास हो, ये सोच कर आते हैं। मेन मुद्दा तो वही है
जी। भाई साहब, क्या सोच के वोट करने आते हैं? क्या है आपके ज़हन में?
बस विकास ही में मुद्दा है। देश में रोजगार की बहुत सारी कमी है। बस जो भी सरकार जीते उनसे उम्मीद किया जाए कि वो रोजगार की व्यवस्था करें।
ये कितना अहम मानते हैं? 5 साल में एक बार मौका मिलता है लोकसभा में वोट करने का, महापर्व इसको कहा जाता है, कैसे आप देखते हैं इसको?
इसको अच्छे तरीक़ा से देखते हैं। लोगों को जो है मौका मिलता है अपना मत देने का, अपने तरीके का सरकार चुनने का।
क्या जहन में होता है, क्या?
नहीं, देखिए, वोट जो है हम लोग देने आते हैं विकास के लिए, बेरोजगारी दूर होने के लिए, यही सब मेन विकास का चीज़ है।
मतलब मकसद सबका विकास ही है। भाई साहब, क्या सोच के वोट करने आए हैं?
देश की तरक्की के
जहन
लिए,
क्या है?
देश की तरक्की के लिए, अपने तरक्की के लिए, विकास हो सारे जनताओं का, शहर का विकास हो, शिक्षा में सुधार हो, यही सब जान के हम लोग वोट करने आते हैं। मेडिकल व्यवस्था अच्छी हो।
गर्मी से कितनी परेशानी?
गर्मी से परेशानी हो रही है, बहुत ज़्यादा लू है। हम लोग 1 घंटे से लाइन में लगे हुए, 1 घंटे से
परेशानी भी?
हाँ, लेकिन क्या अपना अधिकार हक जमाने आना है, अपना वोट करना है।
बिल्कुल। कितनी देर हो गई आपको खड़े हुए? गर्मी कितनी परेशान कर?
बहुत गर्मी से परेशान है सर, 1 घंटा करीब हो गया।
असर पड़ रहा है ना यहाँ पे इतने देर तक? आप लोग सोच के आ रहे होंगे, चले थोड़ा ठंडा हो जाए, चले।
जी सर, जी जी जी।
ये सोच क्या है? क्या चाचा?
हाँ, ठीक।
कितने देर हो गए आपको?
आधा घंटा तो हो गया।
आधा घंटा हो गया। गर्मी परेशान कर रही है।
हाँ सर,
क्या सोचकर वोट किया आपने? क्या सोचकर वोट करने आए हैं?
कि बढ़िया रहे, अच्छा हो। जैसे इतना दिन से सरकार चला, अच्छा ही चला।
क्या चाचा, क्या सोच के आए हैं वोट करने?
वही सोचने, महंगाई है प्लस गर्मी भी है, क्या सोचेंगे हम लोग? यही सोचेंगे सुंदर भारत बने, अच्छा भारत बने, यही सोच कर आदमी वोट।
सुंदर और समृद्ध भारत बने। क्या भाई साहब, क्या सोच के आए हैं?
सही, एकदम सही बात है, ये सही बात बोले।
परेशान कितना हो रहे गर्मी में?
बहुत हार्ड गर्मी
है। गर्मी में कितना परेशानी है?
जी सर जी, गर्मी तो है सर जी।
गर्मी में दिक्कत है,
बहुत दिक्कत है,
घर से निकलने में
बहुत दिक्कत है।
जो लोग घर बैठे
Thanks for giving us that update. People coming out in numbers. We see long serpentine queues over here, even if it is really hot, sweltering, and people have come out nonetheless to exercise their franchise. I'm also being joined right now by Renik Datta. Renik Datta is in West Bengal, in Basirhat. Now, Renik, what's the update on the ground? Are there more and more people who've come out to cast their vote today as well? West Bengal has the maximum number of people turning out in the last 6 phases as well, and today was no different. As per the 11 AM figures, there are as many as 35% of the people who have come out to vote up until now.
एकदम ही देखिए, बशीरहाट में जिस जगह मैं खड़ा हूँ उधर 11 बजे से अंदर वोटर टर्नआउट का जो संख्या दिखा दे रहा है वो 32% के ऊपर है। और इधर जो लोग बैठे हैं वो आप देख ही सकते हैं कि किस तरीके से लोग बाहर आ रहे हैं वोट देने के लिए। मैं अभी बशीरहाट का संदेश खाली में हूँ, थोड़ा पूछना चाहूँगा कि दादा कौन से इशू को सामने रख के आप लोग वोट करने के लिए आए हैं?
कोई इशू नहीं है, नॉर्मल से आए हैं और वोट देने के लिए आए हैं।
वोट देने के लिए आए हैं। दादा कौन सा इशू मेनली फोकस में रहेगा आज?
पीसफुली वोट हो चाहिए,
पीसफुल इलेक्शन।
पीसफुल।
दादा कौन सा इशू सबसे महत्वपूर्ण होने जा रहा है?
বাংলা বলুন।
কোন বিষয়টাকে মাথায় রেখে ভোট দিতে আসছেন?
আমরা সরকার গঠন একটা দেশ রক্ষার্থে, দেশ গঠন করার জন্য একটা ভোট দেওয়ার জন্য আমরা এসেছি।
देश का नया सरकार, अच्छा सरकार गठन करने के लिए आए हैं। दादा कौन सा इशू आज मेनली फोकस में रहेगा?
शांति,
पीसफुल इलेक्शन।
पीसफुल इलेक्शन।
एकदम, ये बहुत सारे लोग हैं। दादा कौन सा इशू मेनली फोकस में रहेगा?
শান্তি বজায় থাকবে আর সরকার গঠন হবে নতুন।
पीसफुल इलेक्शन। दादा कौन सा इशू मेनली फोकस में रहेगा?
শান্তি বজায় থাকবে, নতুন সরকার গঠন করবে, এই জন্য ভোট দিতে এসেছি।
नया सरकार आएगा और शांति बजाय रहेगा। दादा कौन सा इशू?
सेम
दादा कौन सा इशू मेनली फोकस में रहेगा?
सेम इशू।
कौन सा इशू मेनली फोकस में रहेगा?
नया सरकार आएगा।
नया सरकार आएगा। ऐसे बहुत सारे महिलाओं भी इधर है, महिलाओं के साथ भी बात करेंगे। कौन कौन विषयগুলো মাথায় রেখে ভোট দিতে আসছেন?
ঠিক বলতে হবে।
কোন বিষয়গুলোকে মাথায় রেখে ভোট দিতে আসছেন? কোন বিষয়টাকে বেশি ফোকাস রাখছেন?
ভালো থাকতে পারি সেই প্রকাশ নিয়ে এসেছি।
शांति बजाय रहे।
শান্তি বজায় রাখি।
एकदम ही। और कौन से इशू?
কিছুই না, আমার কাছে কিছুই না।
ম্যাডাম কোন বিষয়টাকে মাথায় রেখে ভোট দিতে আসছেন? কি বিষয়কে মাথায় রেখেছেন?
সেরকমভাবে কিছু না, যেন ভোটের পরবর্তীতেও যেন যেমনভাবে শান্তিপূর্ণভাবে ভোট দিচ্ছি যেন এরকম শান্তি বজায় থাকে, এটাই আমরা চাইছি।
एकदम पीसफुल सिचुएशन बरकरार रहे, यही मांग है। और मैडम कौन से इशू मेनली फोकस में रहेगा, কোন বিষয়টা মাথায় রাখছে?
শান্তির জন্য ভোটটা যেন শান্তিপূর্ণভাবে হয়, এইটাই আমাদের
পিসফুল সিচুয়েশন। ম্যাডাম কোন বিষয়টাকে মাথায় রাখছে?
দেখুন, দেশ যেতে শান্তি থাকবে সেটাই আমরা চাই। দেশ শান্তি থাকলে আমরাও তো শান্তি থাকবো, তো সেই জায়গায় আমরা পৌঁছাতে চাই।
देश के शांति के ऊपर ध्यान में रहेगा। मैडम কোন বিষয়টাকে মেনলি ফোকাস রাখছেন? কোন বিষয়টাকে
Okay,
মাথায়
all right. So I think we have a consensus over there. Renik, and putting that same question to my panelists as well. And Gautam Mukherjee, Sandesh Khali has been in the news for all the wrong reasons. There were sexual assault cases that had been filed by a number of women in Sandesh Khali, and today we have Basirhat that is going to poll. And the people over there who've come out in large numbers, as we can see on our screens, have spoken about how they are going to vote for peace in their constituency. Now, we are well aware that West Bengal politics has been volatile. It has been marred by violence. The law and order situation continues to be a cause of concern. And therein, we also see, ironically, despite of it all, large number of people coming out and voting. In the last 6 phases as well, today as well, the maximum number of people who have come out to vote in all the constituencies, and as we reflected the numbers up until 11 a.m., West Bengal, Basirhat has the maximum number of people, about 32 to 30% who have come out to vote. What does this signify? Tanvi Purti, can you respond to this? Okay, we don't have Tanvi. Do we have? Okay, we have Professor Nalapat. Professor Nalapat, how do you view the West Bengal elections and, of course, phase 7? People talking about peace, people want to vote for peace, people want a change, people want a new government, as they were speaking to my colleague.
Well, I'd like to say that it's very important that in a democracy, the rights of the people be protected, and that you don't have small groups of people holding the other individuals to ransom or, frankly, harassing them and assaulting them. I think some of the reports that came out of West Bengal were very, very disturbing. And and the reality is that the people who are in the direct line of fire, who basically were the victims of such assaults, I think it's natural that they would like a peaceful life. They do not want this kind of thing to happen to them. So what they're looking for is, when they talk of peace, they're talking of law and order. They want the protection of law and order. They want the protection where the police stand with them rather than with perpetrators of violence. So I think that is the basic issue. Law and order is a very, very important issue. I can point out, without law and order, you cannot have any kind of prosperity.
Okay. Shekhar Vijayan, the same point. West Bengal has been in the eye of the storm about whether it is going to be Mamata Banerjee and the TMC who are going to come back in large numbers to win the elections, or whether BJP at this point of time does a turnaround and for the first time perhaps historically be able to get more number of members of parliament elected from West Bengal.
Yeah, I think Megha, thank you for having me over, first of all. And the Honorable Prime Minister did around 180 rallies across India. And West Bengal, there were 18 rallies done by him, which just goes to show the kind of focus which is there in West Bengal. Now, I was listening very, very intently to your ground reporters when they were talking to to the people who came in to vote. And there were 4 or 5 issues which really came out. They wanted peace. They wanted, they mostly wanted to talk about the price rise. They spoke about the heat. They spoke about development. They spoke about incredible India. And I think West Bengal is right now, there's a lot of focus on West Bengal because of people there want to exercise the right, which is the case in every part of India. But I think they're very conscious of it. They're very passionate about it. And it just goes to show in the numbers also, which is reflected in this election this time around. This is going to be the turning point for Indian democracy or elections also, I believe, because this is really going to change things around for the parties which are involved in it.
Okay. Advocate Mahima Singh, Congress spokesperson, things have not turned out the way Congress wanted in West Bengal. You had been, giving overtures to Mamata Banerjee, to the TMC, although there had been no alliance, no seat sharing that happened. Now, Congress has been faring poorly in West Bengal as we take a look at whether there are the state elections or we talk about the Lok Sabha elections in the past. Has it been now an established fact that the Congress and the left have been decimated in West Bengal, and it will take you a really long time to come back into the battle, even with a fighting chance of contesting against the TMC and the BJP?
Jai Hind. Megha, I absolutely cannot gauge why do you view it like that when everybody, not only in India but world over, knows that this election was a phenomenon was a face-off between two very starkly conflicting forces, dark forces of bigotry, hate, polarization, lies spread by the BJP, and those forces guarding the democratic values and constitutional principles in this country. So I think it was very clear that all those that stand for the Constitution of India, all those who stand for the democracy have come together. And in fact, if I was to say it like Nawaz Dev Bandi would, the PM wanted all attention for himself, and Nawaz Dev Bandi Sahab would say, महफिल में जिसे गौर से सब देख रहे थे, देखा ना उसे मैंने तो उसने मुझे देखा. So the entire India bloc brought the focus back of this electoral discourse to the real issues of the people, the issues that your voters were speaking about right now to your correspondents. As much as the Prime Minister's narcissism was overwhelming, appalling and disappointing, I would say that it is the India bloc that brought the focus back to the employment, to women's security.
But that doesn't answer my question, right? In West Bengal, I'm asking the Congress, who at one point of time used to have a stronghold, now does not have the support. It looks like, as I said, does not reportedly have the support of the people, as has been reflected in the past elections, state and Lok Sabha. And Mamata Banerjee also did not come out and show enthusiasm in fighting the election and have a seat-sharing formula between the Congress and the TMC. Now, and this was despite the kind of outrage that Rahul Gandhi and the Congress leaders were making. So what does this reflect?
Let me respond. Megha, change is the only constant. And political discourse in a country like India is dynamic. What the BJP has subjected this country to during this historical election is, a historically long election, actually stretched over more than 2 months, putting people through the ordeal. You're talking about Mamata Banerjee's inclination and Rahul Gandhi's inclination. As I already said, that each one of these stalwarts of leaders are talking about the real issues people are facing in this country, going out to vote in the scorching heat, as you already pointed towards. So you see, we are all standing up for the Constitution. We have risen to the occasion to bring the focus back to the people who have been put through the ordeal of a heat wave by the BJP. Thankfully, it is concluding today. Thankfully, within 3 days, we will see the PM
I'm sure the BJP and Prime Minister Narendra Modi cannot control the weather gods. Savio, a response from you about, the target of the Congress of India Alliance members, some of them, not all of them, has been Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his visit to the Vivekanand Memorial and going on a 45-hour meditation retreat. There has been, yes, you wanted to make a point, Mahima, before I continue my conversation with Savio. Yeah.
I'd either say ND Alliance and BJ Party, or don't say ND Alliance, please.
Okay, it's a minor issue. If you like that I call your party as India Alliance or India Bloc, so be it. Savio, India Bloc. I mean, does it make a difference? But India Bloc at this point of time, particularly the TMC, the Congress and the DMK have been attacking the Prime Minister. Accusing him of doing it all for PR. Now, what is reflective of whose narrative is the public going to buy?
Megha,
you know my background in religion and my studies in theology. So let me give you an anecdote from my studies itself. Now, one of the most influential spiritual leaders in my life has been the teachings of Jesus. And if you look at the teachings of Jesus, you would see that whenever he started his work or whenever he ended his work, he found time to find solitude so that he could communicate with God and communicate with the Almighty in order to gain that spiritual strength. Not only what you've seen in Jesus, you've seen many spiritual leaders of Sanatana Dharma also embarking on similar spiritual exercises, spiritual relationships with the Almighty in order to regain their spiritual energy to do the human work that they need to. So when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is doing something like this, where he's meditating, I think it's a reflection of the spiritual strength within him rather than the paraphernalia that the opposition is putting around it.
Okay.
Because personally, while Prime Minister Modi is meditating, the opposition is medicating. Prime Minister Modi turns to spiritualism and spirituality, and that's what meditation does. But the opposition, I think, are turning to some level of medicine, and that is why they are turning to medicating.
Okay.
But having said that, the most important thing for us to understand is what? That today, this lady from the Congress who was trying to be articulate, but is also a bit delusional. So let me just, turn the question around to her. She talks that the people of this country will put faith in democracy, put faith in the Constitution, thereby they will vote for the India Alliance. Let's assume for a moment, which will also be an actuality on June 4th, that the people of India come out wholeheartedly and vote for Narendra Modi and the BJP and the NDA. Would it then mean that her idea of democracy, her idea or understanding of the Constitution, which they have all misused as far as you can go back to the emergency, would that be under question? Because what the Congress has been doing for so long is tom-tomming about secularism. And I'm willing to bet that the lady and many members of the opposition cannot define the true definition of secularism. Because the definition of secularism propagated by Congress in this country is the acceptance of all religion in matters of governance. And that is an incorrect definition of secularism.
Okay.
Secularism is the acceptance of no religion in matters of governance. What it means is that a government or a state looks at you irrespective of your religion. And that's exactly what Narendra Modi stands for. He did not give you the toilets or the water or various other benefits because you were a Hindu or a Christian or a Muslim. He has given you the benefits and the initiatives because you are an Indian.
Okay. All right. Let's listen in to Kiran Kher, the actor who's also come out and voted in Chandigarh. She's talking to the media.
इधर है आप आइए जहाँ मिला वहाँ पहुँचे
तो ये सीधा सीधा आप कहना चाह रही हैं और कमल बंसल की नाराजगी का फायदा क्या बीजेपी को मिलेगा क्योंकि अभी भी कमल बंसल जो है वो नाराज जरूर चल रहे हैं
पता नहीं जी मैंने तो देखा था कि वो मंच पे थे
वो सब एक ही रैली में नजर आए उसके अलावा ना पहले ना बाद में
पता नहीं जी अब उनके साथ क्या है वो तो आपको कोई पूछना होगा
2 बार आप यहाँ पर सांसद चुनी गई हैं क्या आपको इस तरह से लग रहा है कि पार्टी ने आपको थोड़ा सा इग्नोर किया है इस बार
पार्टी ने नहीं इग्नोर किया
तो किसने किया
ये इंडिविजुअल्स ने इग्नोर किया नॉट द पार्टी
कोई मैम इंटरनली आपको लगता है कि आपसी मतभेद भी दिखा पार्टी
यहाँ पर आपसी मतभेद तो चलता ही रहा है शुरू से इसीलिए सेंटर ने मुझे यहाँ भेजा था लड़ने के लिए
तो क्या आपका
लेकिन अभी इस वक्त तो मुझे लगता है सब अल्टीमेटली जब वोटिंग की बात आती है तो मुझे लगता है सब साथ चलते हैं
तो आप ये लगता है कि जो आरोप लगाए जाते थे आप पर के मैडम बाहर रहती है चंडीगढ़ में कम रहती है
ये तो आपको भी पता है ये बिल्कुल झूठ है क्योंकि यहाँ कोई भी फंक्शन होता था कोई भी आता था कुछ भी होता था तो मैं उपस्थित थी तो फिर मैं कैसे जादू की छड़ी तो है नहीं मेरे पास अगर मैं यहाँ नहा रह रही होती तो मैं कैसे इतनी सारी मीटिंग्स लेती मैं कैसे हर जगह का चेयरपर्सन थी मैं भले स्मार्ट सिटी हो भले एडवाइजरी कमेटी में मैं मेंबर थी और बहुत सारी चीज़ों में हम लोग यही थी मैं तो मेरे को तो इतना पता है और मेरे घर वालों को पता है कि मैं तो बोरिया बिस्तर लेकर यहाँ शिफ्ट हो गई थी जब मैं जीती थी
जो भी रिजल्ट आएगा उसकी जिम्मेदारी आप लेंगे
मैं क्यों लूँगी जो भी रिजल्ट
जीत गए तो
तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, खुशी होगी मुझे।
मैम, कांग्रेस और राहुल गांधी संविधान को बचाने के मुद्दे पर पूरा चुनाव उन्होंने लड़ा है, कैसे देखते हैं?
संविधान खतरे में है? हाँ, क्या संविधान खतरे में है जिस तरह से राहुल गांधी लगातार
आई थिंक राहुल जी के पास और कुछ है नहीं बोलने को, तो इसीलिए ये सारे संविधान खतरे में है। संविधान खतरे में तो इमरजेंसी के टाइम पे था।
मैम, एक सवाल जरूर पूछना चाहेंगे कि
राहुल गांधी को प्रधानमंत्री होना चाहिए इंडिया अलायंस का।
Kiran Kher, the former member of parliament from the BJP, she's come out and cast her vote. Advocate Mahima Singh, the turnaround that has been made by Savio, big allegations, Congress is fake, Congress practices fake secularism, unwarranted attacks on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. How does it matter if an individual is going and meditating? You're talking about model code of conduct violation, but when the Prime Minister has not spoken about anything, when the Prime Minister is going and taking a break from the hectic rallying and canvassing that he has been doing for over 3 months, and who stops any of your leaders, whether it is Rahul Gandhi or Mallikarjun Kharge or Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, to go and take a break for 1 day, 2 days, then why this quote unquote unwarranted attack on the Prime Minister?
Megha, first of all, I want to understand from you, is the gentleman who spoke before me an official BJP spokesperson?
He's a BJP leader.
I see. And I remember that he was the advocate against Smriti Irani's Silly Souls case also.
No. I'm not that advocate. That is Iris Rodriguez.
My apologies.
I know we have the same surnames. We might be distant relatives.
I accept my mistake and move on.
Please go ahead.
To the more relevant point. You see, when this leader of the BJP was speaking, Megha, it was very frivolous because he spoke of Jesus, who all of us know to be such a noble, iconic, historical figure, who never meditated with 9 camera angles for sure. Who did not
Maybe they
rise
didn't
from
exist
being
that time.
There weren't any camera. No,
Maybe
but
they didn't exist that time.
Mahima, the point is that wherever a leader of the stature of Narendra Modi, he's the Prime Minister. So wherever he goes, there are going to be cameras. Tomorrow, if Rahul Gandhi were to go to one of the temples or gurdwaras or wherever he feels like going, do you not think cameras are going to follow him?
Giving me the opportunity, or are you going to keep
No,
interviewing?
I'm asking you a very genuine question, because this is the argument that keeps being put forth by the Congress. But I'm asking today when I'm an individual, when I'm a member of the public who listens to your attack and your allegation, I'm trying to understand, does it make sense?
Yeah. Please give me an uninterrupted, fair opportunity. And
I have. I think I gave you enough time to speak.
And sanity, as all your viewers would like on a national television and a show like this. Now, let me say that you see, from a Pradhan Sevak in 2014 to a Chokidar in 2019 to a self-proclaimed god in 2004, when his mother has passed away conveniently, when she was alive, he was biologically born. But today he believes that some forces, some sanctimonious, some sacred forces have brought about his appearance on this earth. Avtarit hue hain wo. So you see, that is definitely not like any other religious figure in mythology or in the history. This is, of course, the world is watching us. This is, of course, making our country a laughing stock when we call ourselves the largest democracy. The BJP leader came prepared with a secular...
Are you saying if one practices meditation or yoga, it is looked upon by the world as something that is deteriorates the country as a force to reckon with? Don't you think when we as a country as a whole, as the people of India, propagate the message of yoga, propagate the message of meditation, it is something that identifies with the ethos of the country?
I hope you are well versed with the Model Code of Conduct and its covenants. I hope you are well...
The Election Commission has not done anything. It has not taken any action. And you were saying that Model Code of Conduct has been violated, but where has it been violated? Where is the Prime Minister of the country talking about vote for BJP, vote for change, vote for democracy?
Megha, is it practically possible that you are meditating also and then your heart goes out on Twitter, on X, to the struggling and suffering people in the flood-ridden areas also.
Why not?
But
Why
he has a team. He has
Yes,
a
why
team
not?
who is managing his social media. He has a team that runs his public relations, his media interactions, and as a prime minister, it is his duty to then go and speak to the people and offer all kind of assistance when there is a natural calamity that has taken place. I mean this argument is turning absurd.
While as the anchor of the show, you go on defending the Prime Minister.
I am not defending the Prime Minister. I am just talking facts. And for me, as an individual who represents the citizens of the country, I'm trying to have a logical conversation with you and trying to seriously understand the kind of allegations that you've made, which also don't make sense to me.
Megha, I heard your contention. In that case, it is the Prime Minister's social media team whose heart goes out to the flood-ridden, suffering people. It is not the Prime Minister's heart. You are fooling the people of this country, and that exact buffoon.
Madhav Nalapad, how do you react to this argument? Does this have any sort of any sort of a weight when an attack is made on the Prime Minister, that while he is meditating, his team is coming out and posting information on social media that there is going to be assistance that is going to be provided by the Prime Minister to the people who have been struck by floods?
Well, I'd like to say that I'm sure that those people were very happy that that assistance would come, and I hope that officials in the area where they were will understand that the Prime Minister's himself or through social media team has basically silently communicated to them that they better get active and provide that kind of support. I mean, the reality situation is that the entire attack of the rival alliance has been on Prime Minister Modi, the entire attack. And so the entire focus of the election has been Prime Minister Modi, and I don't think that has been harmful to the BJP at all. They also wanted the focus to be on Prime Minister Modi and the Prime Minister, and various issues that the Prime Minister has been dealing with. And from that point of view, the opposition has again ensured that the focus is on Prime Minister Modi. Now, I think that is something which personally, politically, I'm not able to understand very well. Secondly, of course, the role as the Congress spokesperson, Ms. Singh is entitled to her point of view on leaders, on the situation in the country, on everything else. And we will know on June 4 whether the people agree with her or not.
Okay.
But I just want to say one thing, Megha. The fact of the matter is we need double-digit growth. What made me happiest, frankly, for a long time was to see that we are now 8.5%. We are close to that double-digit growth. And may I point out to the Congress spokesperson, it is the Congress Prime Minister, P.V. Narasimha Rao, who began the reforms. And I wish more attention would have been paid to his name, his memory, and his reforms. And because what is important in this country, for the youth of this country, is double-digit growth. And the question is, which of these two groups has the pathway to double-digit growth? That question will be in the mind of every voter, and the answer will become known on June 4.
Shekhar Vijayan, yesterday a report had been put out that India's growth rate, the GDP rate, is now projected to be 8.2%, which is quite the rise from the 7% that India saw in terms of the GDP growth in the previous quarter. How do you view about the narrative that has also been put out by the BJP that India is on the anvil of becoming the third largest economy? This has also been the talking point when my reporters had gone down on the field saying it is about the growth of the country, we are voting for Vikas, we are voting for democracy. Does that also reflect in how the people are now thinking and also viewing change that is happening in our country, in the economy?
I think it also reflects the influx of social media. The fact that, the voters so evolved and they're able to understand what the issues are there in the country and how the country is also developing into something really big. When they spoke about, peace, heat, development, incredible India. And I think, the numbers in terms of the GDP, I think it's a big plus for all of us as Indians, irrespective of parties. It shows an India which is moving forward, which is not moving backward. The voters are aware of what's happening in the country, irrespective of how we look at it, how we campaign. The voters are very evolved. This is not the voters of the past. This is voters who want to make a difference, who want to exercise their right, and they are also very clear that India is the temple of democracy, and they want to do whatever it takes. In terms of the voting, in terms of people turning out in large numbers, in spite of the heat wave. So, I think this is a reflection of India where we live in, where, this GDP, the numbers which you spoke about, is very good. It just shows an India which is rising. And I think that's how we need to look at it as Indians, irrespective of party affiliations. What is important is India is growing. I think that's critical and important. And for the common man, who's out there on the streets, what matters for him is, the price rise. What matters for him is law and order. What matters for him is development, infrastructure. If all those things are met, then I think that's a reflection of an India which we all want to live in.
Okay. Savio, again the same question. Reflection of how the economy is functioning. We had the gold reserves of the tune of 100 tons that were brought back by the RBI to put up in the domestic walls. When we talk about the 8.2% GDP growth projected in the next quarter, is this then a sentiment that is reflected by the people when they go out and cast their vote? And are people casting their vote for homes, for water, for food, for price rise, or for that matter, employment opportunities?
Megha, there are various factors that define the reason why an individual votes for a particular person or a particular political party or a particular vision. Now, at the base level, you're looking at the basics that impact an individual. But over a period of time, while the basics remain a prime necessity for the voter, it is also the development of a constituency, the development of a state, the overall development of the country that actually makes a lot of difference to the voter. So let me give you an example, which is a part of our new book releasing after the elections, is let's take a comparative analysis between the Congress when it led the UPA and the BJP when it's leading the NDA. If you look at total investments in infrastructure, during the UPA regime, 13.484 lakh crore was the nature of the investments into infrastructure. In the Modi regime, you have 57,016 lakh crores, which is the investment put in by Modi and the NDA. Now you compare that with the infrastructure investment as per the percentage of GDP. It was 1.79% during the UPA regime. It's 3.38% during the NDA. So why? I can give you various data and various stats of comparative analysis.
Yeah.
And you will look at the fact...
Congress always comes back to the BJP and says, you're talking about the GDP numbers, but what about the real growth? What about per capita income and what about per capita expenditure? That has been their standard counter.
They can even come back with saying that there are no employments and no jobs. And I can statistically, with data, prove to you that if you look at the organized sector, there were 266.739 million jobs created. And to know that, you have to be able to look at the EPFO contributing members and the National Pension Scheme. But that is not all. They will come back and say the unorganized sector, we don't have any data on the unorganized sector. But there is data on the unorganized sector as well. If you go to the e-Shram website, 295.34 million have been the registered unorganized workers on the e-Shram website. Employees of micro enterprises, 0-5 employees and below, who are not on the EPFO, is 143.6 million. I can go into domestic household workers, that's 45.484 million. So you are talking about figures of unemployment, but none of the Congress leaders ever come to a discussion with data or statistics based on real-time data or statistics which are available.
Mahima, would you like to respond? Again, I start with the 8.2% growth rate that has now been projected for the next quarter. Also, when we talk about a number of these schemes that have been successful on the ground, when I talk about Swanidhi Yojana, it has never been thought before by any of the governments in the past. It was brought forth after COVID struck, and it has been really successful in allowing for vendors to not just survive for the livelihood, but also then grow their businesses. When you talk about Mudra Yojana, when we're talking about toilets, an unprecedented number of toilets that have been built. Does this not reflect the growth of the country in helping develop and bring welfare to the people, to the poor? Not to mention also about the jobs creation, where a report that has come out, Scotch report, where there is a mention of how there are 51 crore worth of jobs that have been created by way of building infrastructure in the country, by way of building highways and roads, by way of building houses, and several of these other developmental projects that have been taken up.
Before I come to respond to your question at this moment, Megha, with due regard to Professor Nalapat's acumen as an intellectual, I am well aware of his inclination for the outgoing Prime Minister also. And I must promptly say here, I was hearing him speak earlier about the social media meditation stance of the Prime Minister. See, after having used words like mujra during the electoral discourse and bringing it so low, of course, the Prime Minister needed some repentance, but all this media attention is totally not only unsolicited, but unbecoming also of the outgoing Prime Minister. And I would like to remind Professor Nalapat that people in Manipur have been waiting for the Prime Minister over 1 year, Professor Sahab, for Prime Minister's visit, and he has not paid that visit during Manipur, while it was burning. And during these elections also, he had ample opportunity. He has evaded that responsibility. And Pulwama, at the time of Pulwama also, we remember the delay in putting out just one simple tweet, and at many other instances. I'll not get into that now. The country is well aware. As I said, the buffoonery is going to be defeated. Now let me say, I would really respect the BJP leader, Megha, if he would observe discipline and not unmute himself as your show is being governed by your team.
He's not said anything. He's just laughed over there. What can I tell him about I mean, he's at this point of time, he's a BJP leader. He's going to counter everything you say.
Coming to respond to your question, but let's please maintain the decorum. I hope you will convey that message to the BJP leader.
I'm giving you ample space. I'm giving you a platform. There's nobody who's interjecting.
Good. Now, you asked me the question about data and schemes. You see, the CAG report, which were withheld by the government's whimsical designs for a very long time, came out at the end of the day. And we saw how 7 lakh accounts were connected with Ayushman with one number. We also saw that the PM Awas Yojana was such a farce. We saw the BJP tell on the floor of the House that they don't have any data for the Har Ghar Nal Yojana. So many schemes of the BJP where they projected the data as favorably, in their own favor. Actually, when the data came out, likewise on unemployment, the BJP has withheld the data for so long. Finally, by some peripheral agency, the data came out, last year, and we saw that the unemployment is at an all-time high. They've been hiding behind COVID for not conducting a census, but they can conduct something as magnanimous as a G20. The country has been watching that. You were talking about the MSMEs have faced a blow at behest of this government like never before. And that is also a matter of statistics and data, Megha. So you see, you can put your favorable side up of the data, but the country, the people who are front, like the voters,
would you accept that the growth rate that the country has witnessed in the last 2 years, for 5 years, it has been incremental, 8.2%. It is something to be proud of?
Oh, Megha, you have read the former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh's very elaborate letter. Dr. Manmohan Singh is a figure whose studied across countries, across democracies, unlike the Prime Minister who was banned by the US at one point in time. So Dr. Manmohan Singh has categorically pointed out to the fact that during the 10 years of the UPA, the average GDP growth of the country was above 8%, while during the NDA years, it has been nearly 6%. So you have to look at the economics. You do not study in isolation. You have to study it in continuity.
But now can we congratulate the economy and the leadership and the governance that we have reached the 8%, 8.2% mark, that the GDP is now at this point of time at 8.2%. I'm just asking a simple objective question. Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Simple question to you. Nearly 60% of indirect GST collection in this country goes from the poorest people. The divide between poor and rich is historically high, 100-year high. For a poor man to become, at least as equal to,
there has also been a figure that has been released by the government of India, that there has been a staggering pulling out of people who are living in poverty out of the poverty line. I would just like to, I'll look into the figure. Would you help me, Savio? An unprecedented number of people who've been pulled out of the poverty line.
So that number is roughly about 84 million people who have been pulled out of the poverty line. But let me just step in a minute, because the Congress spokesperson spoke about the MSME industry. Now, one of the major sort of baseball whack to the MSME industry happened during the UPA regime in 2008 right up till 2013. And that happened primarily because the Congress signed an MOU with the International Liaison Department of the Communist Party of China. And this was signed on August 6, 2008. It was signed by the then General Secretary of the Congress, Rahul Gandhi. Now, with this particular MOU that was spoken about by Mrs. Sonia Gandhi herself in an interview to the Xinjiang News Agency in 2011, talked about an MOU and talked about a broad strokes of what that MOU contained. Now, if you parallelly look at the benefit that China got vis-a-vis the MSME sector in India, you would realize that there was unfavorable acts done to the MSME industry in India and favorable acts done to the Chinese industry and the Chinese producers of MSME products, because the financial, as you call, the debt between India and China rose frantically over the 5 years.
Okay, Mahima, would you like to respond to this?
If she wants, I can send her the data on that as well.
Okay, would you like to respond?
Unfortunately, Megha, they don't come with any data. That's the problem. I'm giving you data that is there available for everybody.
Okay.
In fact, the poverty elevation was a data that was brought out by the UNDP, that's the United Nations Development Program, and yet they will argue with that.
Okay. Mahima, what do you have to say to that? Particularly the allegation about the close association between the then UPA and the Congress leaders with the Chinese Communist Party. Mahima, can you hear me?
Am I audible, Megha?
Now you are, yes.
Yeah. So you see, Megha, the BJP can very conveniently incline with the UNDP data when they want to, and they can look away from the WHO data of COVID deaths in India when they want to, as per their inconvenience. As you asked me to respond to the BJP leaders' questions, I believe they have much to answer in terms of the questions I've raised here already. In fact, I was pointing out earlier when you interjected and asked him to speak, without asking him for a single answer to all my questions. Let me raise one more question here. Why is 40% of the country's growth over the last 10 years being concentrated on the rich of this country, on the 1% of this country, while the rest of the 60% struggles to make ends meet every day? Why is it...
Madam, can I give you a statistic?
let the BJP spokesman, BJP leader answer that, please.
Yes, let me give you a statistic, madam, because obviously you don't come prepared and studied. So let me give you a statistic. Okay, during the UPA regime, if you were to go by one sector, and that sector being startups, during the UPA regime, the number of startups were only 350 startups. During the Modi regime and the NDA, as of today, it is 117,257 startups. Out of which there are 100 startups that have become unicorns in India. And you're talking about no growth in economy, ma'am. You need to go back and study economics.
Okay. I'm going to get Professor Madhav Nalapat. Professor Madhav, I've given you time. Let me also include other panelists as well. Professor Madhav Nalapat, how do you view, of course, the number of times that Advocate Mahima of the Congress has raised this point about how there is such a staggering disparity in the wealth that allegedly 1% of the population accumulates versus the rest of the 99%. How do you view the wealth redistribution survey that has been promised and spoken a lot about by the Congress? Is that a solution?
Well, I'd like to point out that the governments of the day ensuring that a better picture is presented of their achievements is not something that began in 2014. It began in 1947. And that is part of, and as for Ms. Singh, I have no problem with whatever she says, but because after all, she is representing a party that is working very hard to try and ensure that there is a change of government. Having said that, I want to point out, as far as personal choices are concerned, they are one's personal concern and they are one's personal right. So I think, I was, for example, a great admirer of P.V. Narasimha Rao, a very great admirer of his. And and frankly, a lot of friends in the Congress party at that point in time were very unhappy with me for having been an admirer of Narasimha Rao because of the reforms he carried out, because of the changes. Now, digital India is changing India. And I can tell you, government is has to become more transparent because of the new technologies that are coming in, because of the disruptive influence of silos on these technologies. All this is coming in. And I have been observing it for a very long time. And some of the names that are being mentioned, these names have been around for quite some time. And I do not believe that the answer to making the poor well off is to make sure that the rich also become poor. No, I think the poor should become middle class and the middle class should become upper class. And my last point is, look, whenever you are doing writing and commenting, that writing and commenting is a testimony of what you believe in. Whether you check on demonetization, whether you check on various other factors, that writing will stand as testimony to itself. Okay. I would like to say that this government has done a lot so far as creating a base for development is concerned. I do not see a similar vision on the part of the opposition, I must say. And I'd like to say that, this is my personal view. And I do therefore believe that what this country desperately needs is development. Unless we get the double-digit growth. And lastly, about Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, the fact of the matter is some of the most restrictive laws. And at that point in time, I had warned the senior ministers that watch out, you are passing these laws. One day you will be you will be at the receiving end of these laws. I am against that kind of colonial law. There is still too much of that, and that also needs to change. Technologies need to be improved. Okay. All that is happening, and in my view, it is happening better under this government than under UPA. That's my personal view. Okay. And anybody's welcome to agree or disagree with me. I have no quarrel with that at all.
Okay, all right. On that note, I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. Stay tuned. On the other side, we bring you the numbers. Voting continues. There are a large number of people who have come out in the former part of the day to cast their vote. And we'll give you all the updates with my colleagues on the ground covering the 7th phase of the election for NewsX for our viewers. Thanks for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.